Hi, everyone. Welcome to Collective Tuesday Night Live. You can tell that tonight is slightly different. We have a guest with us,
Yep.
and she's none other than Lynnette. So please give her a big hand.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Lynnette. Welcome. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you, Pastor. Thank you for having me.
Well done. Right at the start, it's already lagging. Hi, Lynnette.
What did we say about our tagline was?
Hi, hi. Sorry, Cool. All right. I got you. Uh, Sorry. Ah, we're not winning.
Is this okay?
Wait.
Can.
Yeah. Yeah, must be the traffic very high for this show. I think so too, not easy to get Lynette to be on air with us.
Oh, wow.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, how long have you been in church?
Was here in church since, okay, I shouldn't reveal what age. I've been in church for about 12 years.
Wow, 12 years.
Actually, no, 14 years.
14 years.
Yes, 14 years.
That's ages. So when you first came, definitely you're a student.
Yep.
And so what was the thing that you do first? I mean, as in career, what was your job when you first started out?
So after I graduated with a degree in psychology, I went into
Mhm.
HR straight. Because
Right.
that's like the natural path, and I got a pretty good offer. So yeah, I started off as an HR, and few years down the road, then I decided to further my studies and major in counseling.
Hmm.
So I just completed like 3 years ago with my master's in counseling.
Is there a particular reason why you pursue counseling? Like what inspired you? What transpired you to
Mm.
do that?
Well, I've always been really interested in human psychology. That's why I took psychology in the first place.
Yeah.
But a few years down the road in corporate, and I realized that hey, my passion is really still being a counselor or a psychologist, really having those one-to-one session with people, and yeah, so I pursued it.
That's great. So once again, if you're watching us, this is Collective Tuesday Night Live with our guest tonight, Lynette, and our theme tonight, our topic is soul work. All right,
Yep.
soul work. Of course, we are in a season where it's been a lockdown, something that none of us is used to or experienced before. And with the lockdown, we also know mental health is really right at the forefront, which means a lot of people are asking questions.
Mm.
They want to have answers. They also have to struggle. They cope, and we have a lot of questions that came in for tonight, Lynette.
Mm.
So this whole entire thing about mental health, it's really bothering a lot of people.
Mm.
So let's just jump straight into it. I know we have chat a little bit about this earlier. So one of the questions that came up is, how can a person fully recover over a trauma? I know it is affecting my life. I'm trying to change, but it's just keep coming back.
Mm.
Um, what shall we do when we are faced with that?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I get this kind of question very often. Yeah, like how do I fully get over a trauma? How do I fully get over a depression? Can you help me to remove these unpleasant feelings that I don't like? It's very common, but there's really no short answer to it, and I really don't want to shortchange whoever that is watching this. So I would really like to tackle this from the angle of we need to understand how our mind works to begin with.
Right,
So when we say that we want to remove a certain unpleasant feelings, a certain unpleasant thoughts, right? The straight answer to it is actually we can't.
right,
We really cannot change these thoughts. We really cannot remove these feelings because that's how our mind is wired. It is built
right,
for survival. It's supposed to protect us, and and therefore emotions are created to motivate us to action, and usually it's
right.
to avoid danger lah. So
Right.
those anxiety that you face is actually to help you to run away from danger.
Right. Right.
But the problem is that our brain also doesn't have the ability to differentiate physical threat and emotional threat.
Right.
So you can be chased by a dog and you sense danger and your brain asks you to run, which is
Right.
normal. But you can also have a social threat, emotional threat that your mind cannot differentiate and thinks that, hey, you're in danger too, and asks you to avoid. And when you start avoiding all this emotional pain, and it spiral off, because when you, let's say you avoid, you want to avoid being hurt. Let's say you're in a relationship, and then how do you avoid it? You avoid by not committing in a relationship or
Right.
not allowing someone to come into your heart. So the act of avoiding actually causes us to experience more anxiety. And yeah,
Hang on. So are you saying that some of these emotional reaction that we're having is actually a trigger point to lead us to action, a positive action of dealing with it rather than a negative action of running away from it?
it usually triggers the avoidance. Usually trigger us. You usually trigger the actions to run away, but our mind thinks that it's for our own good because you're running
Right.
away from the threat. But what our mind didn't know is that by us running away actually sometimes causes more harm.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, one more time. Yeah. So the default setting is once it's triggered, we are going, the default mode is avoidance. Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
okay? Wow.
Because it's
That's
always flight or fight, ma.
right.
Yeah. So when we are in danger, if we think that, if our mind thinks that we cannot fight, we flight.
Okay, okay. Right.
Yeah.
That's
And I
okay.
can trace it back to the olden, caveman days one, where you were only surrounded by predators. So you are constantly on wanting to survive mode, you see. So our brain
Right.
is wired in that way.
So is it possible to train ourselves to react correctly, like flight or fight for that matter?
Definitely. Because
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you have heard of the term neuroplasticity. Many years ago, people think that scientists think that our mind is locked down after childhood. Like your mind is like this means you cannot change. But in recent
Mm.
years, we realized that, hey, actually we can actually rewire our minds. So
Right.
going for therapy, learning the right way of coping with it is actually a very effective way to help us rewire how we approach issues, approach emotions. Yeah.
Mhm. Rewire means the mind, the way we think, or the way our
Yeah,
heart
rewire.
responds. Which one?
Okay, so it's interconnected, because
Right.
when your mind sense danger, then
Uh-huh.
default mode is to avoid ma. So it
Right.
actually created a pathway, like a neural pathway. So every time when
Hmm.
a threat happens, you avoid, then that road, if you keep walking on that road, the road becomes very prominent, right? That path.
Right.
So it
Yep.
becomes an
Yep.
autopilot reaction. Then
Right.
it
Right.
becomes a reaction instead of a response.
Mm.
So to change from reaction to response, we need to, there are different techniques lah, like the grounding techniques, being mindful about it, to consciously. Okay, if I want to put it into illustration, it's almost like you consciously choose not to take the usual way home, and by choosing another way home.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But definitely this lockdown. But again, right? We are locked down, right? We are not meeting anybody.
Yep.
We're at home. Then why is it mental health is so prominent? Like there's no danger. I'm at home.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the short answer to this is because our mind really is overprotective most of the time.
Right.
It will always sense danger when we are not in danger. So what happens usually, okay, like recently, most of my clients, what I observe is that the reason why they become so anxious suddenly during MCO is
Mm.
because on usual days, they probably have social threats, emotional threats. They are not happy with certain things. They are
Right.
suffering from certain depression or sadness, but they have
Mm.
other things to distract them. I go
Right.
for, I hit and I go for my gym sessions, I go lap up with my friends, I'll catch a movie. So we don't know how to deal with those emotions. We avoid these emotions by doing other things. I go whatever that I've mentioned. But now during MCO, all these options are not available.
Right.
Then instantly, your mind thinks that there's no way out anymore.
Yeah.
You are stuck, and it's that stuck feeling that a lot of people are feeling, that I am so doomed. There's no way I can get out of this house. I don't know what to do right now.
Mm. All right.
Yeah. So this is what happens during MCO.
All right. But how do I know I am not overthinking it? Am I depressed, or I'm just not having a good day?
Mm. So so there are two things that we need to understand. One is that we all have emotions, and it's
Yeah.
normal to have unpleasant emotions. So
Yeah.
it's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel anxious.
Yeah.
And so the first thing, like I mentioned just now, we need to understand that these emotions are set in place for a reason, for a function, which is to protect us.
Yep.
Okay, so if we understand that, then be so we will not be so particular about, am I depressed or not. Like, if we can just acknowledge and accept that sadness is normal. But then there is another part, which is the intense part, that when depression or anxiety become an disorder. So contrary to the popular belief, people think that you are having a disordered anxiety is when your anxiety becomes very severe. Like, the more anxious you feel, that means the more serious you are. But actually it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are actually two quick ways to determine if you are having a disordered anxiety or depression. Is first, for anxiety, would be if you are actually safe, but you think that you are not safe. Means that you
Okay.
think that you are in danger when you're actually safe. Like how some people, they are really scared of chichat, right? When they see
Mm.
chichat, they really think that they want to die already. They really think
Okay.
that they're gonna die at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
That is not. Yeah, but this is taking on a very extreme end of example. The other one is that if this feeling of anxiety or depression interferes your ability to function,
Right.
like you no longer feel like going to work. You are calling in sick to work, and you don't want to meet your friends anymore. You can't even get up in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, so that's when we really want to take a good look at it. Like,
Do we
am
need
I
a
okay?
combination of all these things in order to constitute that I am really in a place where I'm depressed, or just one of them, like I call in sick, oh, I'm actually depressed? It has to be, I call in sick, I don't want to meet my friends, I don't want to wake up, I don't want to do, you get what I
Yeah,
mean?
so yeah. So it's definitely not just one criteria kind of thing.
Right.
We diagnose based on DSM, which is a manual that psychologists and counselors based on to make diagnosis. So there's actually a list of checklists or criteria
Right.
to diagnose. So you need to meet. Usually, it's the frequency, the intensity, and the duration. So
Right.
if, let's say, you are suffering the same kind of symptoms for a stretch of 2 weeks to 1 month, then yeah, chances are that you might be diagnosed with a clinical depression.
Say I cannot sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like I have no reason. I can be very tired from the day, and I cannot sleep. How long before I should really start looking for help?
Not just insomnia.
Just, yeah, I mean, an unexplainable state of not being able to sleep. Like, am I okay? Am I not okay?
Usually most of the checklist says 2 weeks. Yeah,
Two
minimum two
weeks,
weeks. Yeah.
but it cannot be just based
So
on. Yeah, right. You said.
so but there are some people who really battle with it, right, for months or even years one. So it depends on how severe it is. But if your insomnia is causing you to not be able to function the next day, then obviously you would want to see a doctor first, like a GP, to see what can be done. Unless you
Right.
know that something is really bothering you lah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So we have one other question. I
Mm.
think they are all very, very good question tonight. Someone said, actually, this is a very basic question. I think we appreciate you, whoever asked this question. It doesn't matter whether it is basic or not, which we think is all important. How do I reduce anxiety attacks? How do I see myself in a better light and not keep pressuring myself to do more, to be better, to get well soon, that whole cycle.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so remember we mentioned that actually the root cause to more anxiety is avoidance. So
Right.
avoidance fits into anxiety. So one very, very effective way is actually to learn how to lean into that emotion. I know it sounds very, like I already don't like that feeling of anxiety, and you're asking me to lean into it. But that is really what we are trying to do. We want to rewire it, right? To tell your brain that, hey, actually leaning onto this feeling, you won't die one. Your brain thinks that if you experience anxiety, you're gonna die. But we want to tell the brain that, hey, if I can hang on to this a little longer, actually I'm not gonna die. And then you
Okay.
trigger another new pathway.
Yep. Thank you, Lynette, for that. But lean in. Okay.
Yeah.
What is leaning in practically? How is it?
Yeah. So leaning in, okay. Let me give you a metaphor of quicksand. Okay, so
Right.
if you fall into quicksand, what is your natural reaction?
Try to climb
Natural.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens when you do that?
You sink deeper lah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happens when we deal with our emotions. We try very hard to struggle up, to push all these things aside so that we can get out of it. But what is the right way to do when you fall into a quicksand?
Stay.
And
Stay calm. Stay calm.
yeah,
Don't move.
yeah,
Right.
and allow yourself to experience the wrapping of the sand and whatever that is happening in there, right?
Okay.
That is
Wow.
that is exactly what we want to achieve, to have that flexibility that, hey, actually if you allow yourself to lean in, to really experience it, you are actually not gonna sink.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
it's not.
I'm trying to digest like, wow, that's shocking. Right.
Yeah, so it's really not about removing it. Our goal here is never about removing it, because we have tried so many ways removing it. We tried so many ways distracting ourselves to forget about this pain. But it doesn't work. It may work for a short while, but in the long run, it comes back at you again. So what
Okay.
we want to do is, yeah.
Sorry. Go on first. Go on first.
No, so really try to allow space, create space to sit with these uncomfortable feelings.
So I'm already feeling very lousy about myself, Lynette. Like,
Yeah.
it's a series of things that happen. Ooh. And so what living in means, I have to recognize that emotion. So I tell myself I'm feeling lousy about myself. Is that it?
Actually pretty spot on that when people think that, oh, I'm leaning, does that mean that I need to accept that I'm a lousy person? No, that's not. What we are trying to do is we want to recognize that feeling, like what Pastor you said. Recognize that feeling and understand that that is a thought that you have.
Right.
Thinking that you're lousy is a thought, and we are not here to prove whether you're right or not, but we want to understand that we cannot change this thought. And now that I'm feeling lousy, I acknowledge it, and that's it. Acknowledge it and then focus on what is important to you at the same time. So on one hand, you want to acknowledge that feelings. On the other hand, what is it that you can do right now that is important to you? Can I give an example?
Yes. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing. Trying to
Okay.
digest as I can. Yeah.
Okay, like let's say I'm a lousy wife, for example. Okay, so I feel like I'm a super lousy wife lah, right?
Mhm.
So I can sit there and be thinking that, oh, I'm so lousy and I cannot even cook, I don't even do housework, and I just sit there.
Right.
Or I can lean into these feelings and say, yes, I acknowledge that this lousy feeling is coming up and I don't like it, it's uncomfortable, it's painful. But at the back of my mind, what is important to me as a wife? What kind of wife do I want to be? I want to be a responsible wife, for example, or a caring wife. Okay, then can I sit with this uncomfortable feeling, yet choose to do something that is aligned with this value of mine, which is a caring wife? Maybe I can start by boiling water, for example.
Right.
So really the goal here is not removing this, but sitting with this so that we can do something that is in alignment of our values.
Okay. Sorry. But what if I can't even do that?
Do what?
I can't even. I'm sitting with that. So I'm a lousy husband. I can't even boil water. I want to run away from my responsibility. I don't
It's
want to do
okay.
anything.
Yeah, so there's always a scale of intensity. If we are at this point where we feel so bad about ourselves, we just can't move, and it's okay, because practice self-compassion is also a very important thing. Can we be kinder to ourselves at that point of time and say
Right.
that
Wow.
I may not be
Yeah.
able to do it now, but hey, self-care is also self-compassion, and maybe I can try it another time, but now I want to lean into this feeling and be kinder to myself.
Wow. Hey,
Yeah.
everyone, if you're watching us tonight, I think Lynnette just told us something very, very important, and to be kind to ourselves.
Mm.
I think that's a concept that I think sometimes we confuse being kind to ourselves and loving ourselves. So a lot of people love themselves, like they want to run away from a feeling. They love themselves, so they go shopping, they do all these things to avoid it. But being
Yeah.
kind is accepting that, hey, there are certain things I cannot do now, and perhaps give me some time. I will work on that. Am I right? Is that
Yep.
are we
Yep.
do we
That's right. I can't stress more about being self-compassionate and being kinder to ourselves, because a lot of times, especially people who struggle with perfection, like wanting to be a perfectionist, self-criticism is a big thing.
right?
And those are the judgments that we put upon ourselves where nobody actually point fingers at us.
So say perfectionism as an
Mm,
issue, like, is that inborn? Is it, because one of the question is it hereditary? Some of these things that we're
mm.
experiencing, is it
Uh, so your first question was, is perfectionism inborn, right?
is
Um,
it yeah,
not exactly perfectionism, because that perfectionist perfectionism is more of like a trait, like a characteristic, or maybe a judgment, or maybe a rule that you set for yourself. It's more of like an evaluation that you give it to yourself. But if we talk about other things like depression or OCD for that matter, yes, some can be hereditary.
oh wow,
If
yeah,
yes, so I used to attach to hospital for a short while, and
yeah.
and I see, and we always do all this background check, right? People who actually suffer from mental disorders, somewhere along their family tree would have someone have it one, someone who is
Mm,
experiencing. Yeah. So we definitely don't rule that out, because mental disorder to at a science level is actually chemical imbalance in your brain.
right.
So yeah, so it has to do with biology.
Okay.
Mm.
I have to admit that I'm actually quite suddenly overwhelmed by some of the things that you say, and because at the same time I need to moderate this, right? I have to look at all the questions, and I realize I'm really not familiar with some of the things that you just say, so it's actually taking me longer to process.
It's so
I cannot multitask. Normally I can, but so so
Pastor, wait,
then
can I
okay,
can I catch you right there? You know,
cool.
it's I think it's a very perfect example of how you're feeling uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
Yet you continue doing what is important to you at this point, which is sorting out the question.
yeah.
Why is that so? Why didn't you just choose to, forget about it lah? Let's not go through the question.
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah. Like why
Uh,
what motivates you to go on to do what is needful right now?
uh, a sense of responsibility, because 200 plus people are watching us, and it means a lot to the people that ask us those questions. I don't want them to feel left out, and I cannot process as fast. Like, so many things I'm still thinking from the first sentence you said earlier. I, I'm trying to just hold it together, and I know people have logged in. They've really looked
Yeah,
forward to tonight. So
yeah. So exactly. So those uncomfortable feelings, they are real. You probably really feel overwhelmed at this point of time, and worry
yeah,
that why not? What if you can't process it quick enough and ask the next question? But yet
yeah,
you sit with these feelings and continue on because you want to be a responsible host.
right.
Yeah, and that is that gist of what I'm trying to say. We yeah,
Wow.
of course depression and anxiety is a lot more intense, but essentially it's the same framework that we're talking about. Can I be willing to sit with that feelings and focus on what is important?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But can a prolonged stress and anxiety lead to deeper problem, like a ongoing?
Of course. Take for example anxiety. Let's just say someone who suffers from social anxiety. Like I'm so afraid to meet people. So it actually spiral downwards. You see, I so afraid of meeting people. I stop myself from participating in any parties. And because I want to avoid parties, I only stay at home. My world becomes smaller. I have
Right.
lesser friends. I miss out on good relationships. And because I have lesser friends, my world becomes smaller. My world becomes scarier.
Mm.
Yeah. So if we do not tackle this at the earlier stage, this will only keep spiraling down, and then we will continue to ruminate on how lousy am I as a person. Why am I so lousy? I can't even attend a party, and then we probably end up drinking. And then the next thing you know is you're probably addicted to drinking, and then it
Right.
goes on and on. Yeah.
Okay. Can we just dissect that a little bit and make it a bit simpler? Why would someone don't want to meet people?
Well, this is another topic altogether.
Okay.
um, yeah,
Maybe I
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
ask really hard questions.
No, not really, but it's just that there's too many factors to it. There is the biological factor to it. There's the social factor to it. Um,
Yeah.
from the biological point of view, there is such a thing as, you see, there are different parts of our brain that in charge of different things. So there is
Yeah.
this part, right, that actually captures faces or images.
Right.
So some scientists say that if this part of your brain is bigger, so that means you capture images at a more rapid speed.
Okay.
So much so that it becomes overwhelming and then it creates anxiety.
Right.
Okay, so therefore you are afraid of meeting people, but most of us generally we are the second category. That is because of social or psychological issues,
Right.
reasons. Yeah, so it can be because you have embarrassed yourself once,
Okay.
and that pain to go through that is so huge that you want to avoid all situations.
Right. Right.
So again, it's some form of avoidance there, right? That could be one of
The
it.
idea is not to avoid it.
Yeah, and to find out what is the function behind your emotion. So it can be manifested in so many different kinds of emotions, but we want to understand what is the function behind.
Mm.
Yeah. So what
But
is it that we are
in
trying to avoid?
Yeah, but it might be in an environment where it is toxic and I don't have a choice. Say work, right? I really don't like the place where I'm working now, but it's
Mm-hmm.
MCO, right? Uh, I cannot quit. If I quit, I have no money. If I have no money, I cannot pay rent. I'll be kicked out from the house.
Mm.
Or in a situation, maybe in a family or among my closest circle of friends, but it's toxic. But they're the only friends I have, or this my colleague. It's the only source of income I have. What should I do if I'm so-called trapped in that space like that?
Mm, I think we can tackle this from what is within your control and what is not within your control.
Okay, thank you.
Majority of what you mentioned just now are things that are not within my control. My
Yes.
work, the people around me, my
Uh-huh.
circumstances.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we focus on how can we change the environment, the people around us. So I would really suggest that why not we take a good look at ourselves in this situation. What else can I do about it? So a lot of it has to do with our relationship with our thoughts. Because what we think about all this, right, is essentially our thoughts.
Right?
So, and the beauty of it is okay, if let's say there's no choice, I can't do anything with my environment, but there is this one last freedom of choice that I have, which is my relationship with these thoughts that I have. Am I losing you?
You have, but I'm plugging in. I am coming back in. Tell me. I'm getting there. I will pass.
Um,
Go on.
okay.
So, yeah, okay,
Okay,
great.
let's say I my 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 boss is bad, for example. I have a bad boss. That's my thought about my boss.
Right.
Okay, whether is he really bad or not, that's really not a point of debate. But the fact is, my thought thinks that he is bad, and I cannot change my boss, but I can change my relationship with this thought. So how do I want to deal with this thought of mine? Do I want to control this thought and entertain this thought and continue to fit into this thought, or I say, hey, I'm going to put you on, like, I'm just going to put you on somewhere. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that you are here, but I'm just going to put you aside so that I focus on other things. I focus on doing what is important to me as a responsible employee. Does that make sense? So I cannot change my circumstance, but I can change my relationship with this thought.
So are you saying that if I change my relationship with that thought, then the thought after a while will reduce its frequency of attacking what I'm thinking? Because say I don't like this boss, right? So I focus on other things that I can be responsible for as an employee, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm photocopying a paper, then I have his thing in my head, like the thing that he said to me in my head. So I put it aside and just continue photocopying my paper well. Am I doing
Yes.
good?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. So because continue photocopying your paper is your job, and that means you're being responsible. So the thing is, so then when you are being responsible, you are living a valued life, a value oriented life. You you have that sense of fulfillment from that side, instead of focusing on my boss. I cannot change him, but then I don't like this place and I don't want to work lah. Then it keeps going on and on.
Thank you, Lynette. You say what?
Value oriented or value
Value.
action life. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, if you're watching us, one of the ways to rewire the neural makeup in our brain is to change what we're doing to have a more value-oriented motivation in your life. That will help rewire so that you're not focusing just on what people think, things that you cannot control, but do that. That means you still try your best to function the best you can, despite those thoughts. Just keep, yeah.
Yeah, if I can add on, the key is really to be willing to experience those uncomfortable feelings because they are there to stay. And just like quicksand, if you try to struggle up, you're going to sink in faster.
At which point I know I can't do it anymore and I need to see a therapist.
When you feel like you cannot function like usual anymore. Like it interferes with your ability to function. Like you realize that you really don't feel like going to work anymore. Like give it 1 to 2 weeks continuous, 2 weeks.
But it's quite difficult, right? We won't plunge into a 2 weeks straight away, right? It's like we go to work one day, we stop one day, we go back to work 2 days, then we take the Friday off, then we go back on Tuesday, but then we skip Monday. Does that constitute 2 weeks with gaps in between, or straight 2 weeks? Sorry, I'm just asking very plain.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I know, very good question.
Yeah.
So different um okay, mental issues has their own different criteria. So
Right.
I can't do a one size fit all kind of thing, but it's almost like you're having a headache or you're not feeling well yourself. It's really how far you think you can go, and there's really no harm seeking medical attention at the earlier stage.
Right.
Like nobody's gonna judge you if you have a headache and then you go see doctor.
Right.
I just
That's
want to
true.
get it cured fast lah, right? So if you're not sure, just go for one and just seek a professional help, get it once and for all, and know what's going on. And a lot of counseling services nowadays is really not just about, oh, because you are mentally ill, that's why you come. No, actually, it's getting a lot more common now, and some people actually come and see me just because they needed someone to bounce off certain thoughts in them. Like they just want to know if they're taking it on track or not. So it's not like the olden days where if you go see a shrink, it means something's wrong with you.
Well, I think that's really helpful, that we don't have to wait until we are down that rabbit hole before we actually go and seek help. Even right at the start, we can talk to a therapist. I know some of us, you're watching us. We may not answer some of the deeper questions or thoroughly some of the things that you ask. Lynnette has been really kind enough for you to reach out to her if you need anything. So if you'd like to find out more about professional counseling services available, you may reach Lynnette at cwt@gmail.com and there's a phone number there. I think you're very kind, you're very generous. So screenshot the numbers, take a picture so that you know where to find Lynnette. And there's also other places, right? People can actually find a mental health provider near you. So this is also a website. You can scan the QR code. You will find someone, and I think the therapy and the patient chemistry is so very important. That to find the right person that you feel like you can talk to.
Yes, definitely. Don't. I know it can be very daunting. So okay, I think one thing that I'm really grateful for this MCO is that it has made therapy a more approachable thing to do, because you don't have to travel to people's clinic. You can actually do it at the comfort of your own house. So all you need to do is just a Zoom link or any other link will do. So people are more open to try nowadays with this online therapy thing going on.
And I think that's really great to find that help. And then can we talk about some practical steps to make sure that we or anybody do not spiral down? What are some of the very practical self-care measures that we can take on a daily basis?
Practical steps for people who are experiencing anxiety, for example, it not everyone. Okay, I need to have a disclaimer. See, because I'm really just scratching the surface. So for those of you who are watching, right, please take this as an education rather than a self-diagnostic kind of information, right? So if you're suffering from anxiety and you know that and you know what is the trigger point, it might be helpful that you do up an exposure hierarchy, like you just rank what is your, let's say you're afraid of cicak lah, okay? So what is the easiest one? Maybe a photo of a cicak. Then all the way, what is the next one? What is third level? And all the way up, which is probably touching a real cicak, for example.
Right.
Yeah. And then with that hierarchy that you have set up, try to explore with it, and always start small. This is the part that people always miss out. They always want to go for something like in the middle or somewhere higher because they want to recover fast. To find that you actually fall back down very quickly because you are not ready for it. Yeah. So always start small. Set up that list and start small. Even so, and another thing that we find very helpful for depression or having and struggling with a lot of unpleasant thoughts, trauma is one. Depression, trauma, and all these sort of emotional issues. Practicing mindfulness is very helpful. And yes, mindfulness. And mindfulness is not meditation. People always confuse mindfulness with meditation. Yeah, but mindfulness is really learning how to be present with your five senses and what is going through your head at that point of time. So if you notice, right, a lot of times when we suffer from emotional issues or tangled in thoughts, right, we are usually in future or in the past.
Wow. Okay.
Right. You don't get worried about things now. You don't talk about now, but it's always what happens if I lose my job. I got hurt 2000 years ago, I'm still feeling pain today. What if I meet the wrong guy again? It's always past and future, but it's not now. So mindfulness helps to bring us back to the present. So what are you feeling right now? What comes into your mind right now? What are the thoughts? Just acknowledge them.
Okay. Say I have a hypothetical situation. Say I'm involved in a new relationship now, but I was hurt from the past relationship. What should I do? Do I tell the person that I'm going out with, say, I got that fear, or do I tell later, or do I keep it until you know what I mean? Because
this is
I'm trying to
BG
practice
already. This is your topic, man.
no. It's I think it's a real struggle, perhaps, for a lot of people. Like, do I tell him now or do I tell her now? If I tell later, uh, you get me? Not like I don't want to. I want to just being able to. I don't know. Mindful.
Okay, so your question is, if you're in a relationship, but you actually got hurt in a previous relationship, and you are suffering from this kind of fear, and you're wondering whether should you tell your current partner about it.
Yeah, now or later or how?
Okay, I think now or later is really not for me to comment, but what I can suggest is that this fear that you have, you want to be very mindful of it. Like when
Okay.
that fear strikes, then you want to take a step back and tell yourself, okay, I'm experiencing this fear. I find myself not being able to engage with him or her at this point of time, and be mindful of that thought. And if it helps that you tell him about you're actually experiencing this fear attack right now, if it helps, then by all means. But it doesn't
Right.
have to be. It's really a lot of internal work right here. But usually what usually happens is that, I have this fear, I cannot engage. Then I try to work harder, I try to really be more intimate with him. But it
Right.
backfires, ma. You didn't
Right.
address the fear in you. Then you try to do more by trying to overcompensate.
Cool. So mindfulness is not overcompensating it with
No.
whatever that we are facing. Like we just mindful means we are aware that
Yes.
this is an issue that I have with the past,
Yep.
right? Because
Not
my
just
question,
that issue.
yeah,
Yeah, not just that issue, but your current feelings, your thoughts, and whatever that showed up right now. It can be an image, it can be a memory, it can be a song, it can be anything. But be mindful that these are the things that are passing through your mind right now, and see them
okay,
passing by. Creating this distance with your thought that, okay, I see this thought passing by. I see this fear. I acknowledge it. Yeah, it's a bit abstract. Usually we will like I will put my clients through a very practical closed eyes visualization activity to help them to understand. Yeah, but the gist of it is really to create a distance with these thoughts, because these thoughts are not you, these feelings are not you, and you can actually observe it from third party point of view, so called, and that is being mindful.
okay, wow, all right. So that's my feeling, but that's not me. I can observe those feelings. So the practical steps for self care: number one is have a hierarchy chart. Number two
If
is
if
practice
you are
mind.
experiencing anxiety, that will help.
Yeah. Okay. Number two would be practicing
Mindfulness.
mindfulness. Okay. Okay. What would be the next thing?
Mm, I
What
would
other?
really think is
Yeah.
to discover your values. As cliche as it might sound, there is nothing more meaningful and fulfilling than living a valued living life.
Right.
So, and when we and values really acts as like a compass, deciding the direction that you want to go.
Mm.
So, so it's not a goal, ma. Value is a direction. So you don't get caught up in the whole whirlwind of, I'm not being a good girlfriend. I'm not being a responsible husband because I don't cook, because
Right.
I'm not pretty. So we are always stuck with this kind of comparison, and these comparisons are not values.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we can discover our values, then we know how we want to act upon. So there must
Yeah.
be a reason why I want to sit with my feelings, right? We talk about sitting our feelings. So there must be a reason why I want to go through this pain. Then only it's worth it. So what is more worth it than living a value life? I want to sit through this so that I can live
Right.
a
Okay.
value. You get
So
what I
that means
mean? Yeah.
sit, also put values. Of
Correct.
course, you want to live your life, lah. Am I right? Okay.
And or basically what kind of person you want to be.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
A lot of people will answer, oh, I want to be happy. My value is to be a happy person.
Yeah.
But that is really not value. That is just a feeling.
Right.
Then the next question would be, okay, then if you're happy, what would you see yourself doing when you're happy?
Right.
The answer to that will be more likely to be a value.
So when you start asking questions like that, and when they start answering your question, that is how we divert the whole pathway to something different from what they were experiencing before. Am I right?
Yes. So correct. So the whole point is we want to, if we can't change our thoughts, if we can't change the trauma, if we can't change the memories, if we can't change the pain, and it's
Right.
all right here. Okay. And if every time I'm allowing all these things to block me, how am I engaging with people?
Mm.
How am I allowing myself to create new experience with people?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. So the goal here is to not remove this because we can't, but to learn to maybe put it down a little, then I can engage with you better.
Right.
And this is really the goal that I want to achieve, to really engage with people, to be the kind of caring person I want to be. And whether this goes away or not, it's no longer the main thing already.
So okay. So the way to um, the way to really have this thing go away is by just not making it go away immediately, disappear, but just move it a little bit so that I can do something else. And by then,
Yes. So
thing will no longer be in the forefront of my face.
correct. Very, very well said, Pastor. Is creating that space around it.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Wow.
show you a diagram. I don't know if you can see because I just scribbled it out. Can you see this?
Wow.
Is it very light?
Yeah, I see a circle and a little triangle at the corner with some shade.
Okay, it's actually a rectangular box.
Triangle.
Okay,
Oh my God, I'm so nice.
so let's say this is the panic button. I actually learned it from my another counselor friend of mine. So if this is your panic button, for example, okay, and the circle here represents all your unpleasant thoughts, okay, and this is the space that you're allowing it to roam around. How likely is this bunch of thoughts going to hit on the panic button? Chances are that it's going to be quite likely because the space that you're allowing it is very small, correct? And that is what happens when we experience a anxiety or depression. We have all these thoughts running around, and it keeps hitting on the panic button because the space is very limited. So, but we cannot remove the thoughts. Neither can we remove the panic button because it is there for a reason, is to help us avoid danger, like what we mentioned just now. So what we have been talking about the whole time is about creating space around it. Can you see? So when you create space around it, the thoughts didn't go away. The panic button didn't go away. But what changed is the space around it.
Yep. Yep.
And how likely is this ball going to hit on the panic button now as compared to just now? It's probably going to be less likely, right? And when it doesn't hit on the panic button so often, that gives you space to do more things that are more meaningful to you. And that is
Space.
really, yeah, the essence of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really creating that space and allowing ourselves to sit with those
Yeah.
feelings. Pastor there. Yeah, so if I can recap, what we have been talking about, just in case some of you might have missed it, is
Right. It
really
may
to
sound sometimes. I'm back.
you're
Hi.
back.
I'm back. I think there was a moment we were just disconnected. Okay.
Did you manage to see the difference in the diagram?
Oh yeah, I saw the part. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now can.
Oh no. So just now I said one of the difficult thing for us in this season or this generation is that when you say cheesy as it may sound, we need to have values, right? Sometimes we want to avoid cheesiness. We end up avoiding values that is not helping us in this season or in our lives, for that matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
Very true.
it may be old school, but I think at the end of the day, values are like what Lynnette said earlier, is the moral compass of our lives, and we do need that. We do need that. So you have given us three very practical steps on self care, things that will really really help us. Would there be one more, or you think
Mm,
three is good enough for a
yeah,
start?
maybe just one more, very quick
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I think we are very used to, when we talk about self care, we automatically link it to, when I do self care means I eat my favorite ice cream or I watch
Right.
my favorite Netflix. Yeah, but let me just end it with a question. The next time when you want to engage in this self care, you want to also ask yourself, what is the function behind this self care? Again, is it a part of avoidance as well?
Right.
Because I can eat ice cream mindfully and enjoy the entire experience, and I will feel good. But if I'm eating ice cream as a form of avoidance again, so that I take my mind off from that pain, then again it's a form of avoidance. So maybe we want to ask ourselves, what is the function behind it?
Mm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Uh, my head is very heavy. Uh, I'm processing through so many things. Um, uh, wow.
I hope it has been helpful, and I
Yeah.
know it sounds really complicated. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Once again, if you are watching us tonight, if you want a more thorough chat, we're just doing very general and touching the surface on mental health. It's definitely not a one session that fits everything. If you would like to book Lynnette for a session for therapy, again, you don't have to be super unwell. You can just want to bounce off whatever that is in you. Feel free to email Lynnette at that email, lynnetteCWT@gmail.com, and her phone number 014-9727-357. Yeah, I think we got to come to a landing and draw to a closing soon. What's the difference between professional counseling and pastoral counseling in church? This is my
Wow.
question. I
Okay.
don't have a
I
chance.
would like to know that. Is are you asking me?
I'm asking you what in counseling you don't instruct people, am I right? In
Yes.
You're just helping them to
Oh,
define, right?
yeah, I think maybe probably the main difference would be we in professional counseling, the ownership is with the client.
Yeah.
The client chooses whether he wants to come for session or not, and whether he wants to terminate the session or not, and we don't do follow-ups on them. And most importantly, we are not supposed to have a dual relationship with this person. Like, I'm your therapist and that's it. Like, you don't text me after session, and things like
Right.
that. But in counseling, you double up as a mentor, a
Yeah, yeah.
friend, a leader. Yeah, so that journeying part is very different.
Okay. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you. I also want us to know. I think probably one of the more telling thing that we are talking about tonight, for those of us who are in ministry, in Christian ministry, we also have to be very mindful. And I think the whole understanding of mental health is way more balanced now. People are more open to it. That mental health, if someone is having a problem, it's not a demonic attack. It's not a spirit to cast out. I think the church has really grown and mature in the last couple of years by having more knowledge, because I think in the past, if you are depressed, then there's a spirit of depression on the inside of you, and then people have to cast it out, and it will end up with bigger problem and a more complicated problem. Then the person will
Yeah.
spiral. But definitely, I want to suggest, in helping us to maintain self-care, it's good to wake up every morning in your time alone to practice gratefulness. I think gratefulness is very important. Paul teaches us to be thankful to God at all times. Yep, situation may not be favorable all the time. It may not be exactly what we like it to be, but we can still be thankful that God is on the throne. God is still in charge. God is in control over our lives. So, yes, I think I've covered most of the question, and I hope we're able to initiate some conversation. Rather, this is not the end. This is the beginning of a conversation that you can have, either with yourself, a conversation that you can have with your therapy, to take you to a journey. I really appreciate you, Lynette.
Thank
Some
you,
of the
Pastor.
things you mentioned, it really takes a while to digest. Definitely, you have taken years to learn this and to practice it. And yeah, and we don't think we can, one night, one session, think that we are able to do much of it. But really, thank you. Yeah, shall we just give a bit of time for people? Is there any other question? Yeah.
I think probably I think one common question that I receive is always, as a friend, how can I help my friend?
Ah,
Yeah.
yep.
Always have a lot of these questions like, okay, my friend is suffering this, how can I help? Um, Really, right, is really just listening and patience, and a lot of patience. I know that some of you feel very frustrated that you know that your friend needs help, but this person is not admitting it, or this person don't think that he has a problem.
Mm.
Yeah. So I guess we is really just not judging, because you want to ask yourself, what is your intention of helping? When you say that this person is not admitting, does it rise from the need to be right and this person is wrong? And if it's not right and your intention is really to help, right, then just be the listening ear and convince this person to seek help as much as you can.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think I think that's really practical and helpful for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again,
This,
it's just for education purpose. Don't self-diagnose based on whatever that I have shared. It's
yes.
really dangerous.
I think that's important. All right. Don't self-diagnose. Don't just because you think that. I think self-diagnosis is something that we really got to be really aware. sometimes it feels like we're sitting in a clinic, right, waiting for a doctor, and then they have all these posters of all the kind of various sicknesses, right? Then if you have this, and this, you might have this. If you wait for your doctor long enough, after a while, you feel like you have all the diseases that is on the board because you read through them. So, yep, thank you. I think that's really helpful. Don't self-diagnose. Yeah, and don't put a judgment on yourself. Maybe you're just having a bad day, and remember your emotion is not you; it is what you're feeling. Take yourself out as if you're the third person looking back in. Some of these pointers are just so important. Thank you so much. It has to be the most heavy 1 hour in a while for me. So many things in my head. And yeah, before we close, let's pray, shall we? Yeah. Okay, let's pray. Father God, we thank you for tonight. What a precious time that we can have together with Lynnette. Firstly, God, we want to thank you for this amazing sister, of what she has learned and what she's giving back to us. God, we pray that you give her grace, give her strength and greater wisdom as she helps people when she counsel and provide therapy. There are many people listening to us tonight. God, I pray, if there's anything that we have done, it is to initiate a conversation where we begin to take mental health seriously, that we do not have to wait until it is dire before we ask for help. God, I pray you grant us peace. At the end of the day, you are the God of our lives. Father God, I pray, as Paul would pray, that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, guides us into every decision and the everyday life that we are living. Father, I thank you tonight. Bless every listener, and I pray that this is going to be something that is helpful and the beginning of a beautiful journey with you, God. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Pastor.
Thank you, Lynnette. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Tuesday Night Live comes on every fortnightly in our church. So we won't have next week. That means the next time we will have Tuesday Night Live would be 16. All right. Am I right? 16th of June. We will update you what would be the next topic. Yeah, I know a lot of people are asking Lynnette to come back for part 2. We will see. All right, let us plan ahead. No promises, but we definitely heard you. We know what you're asking. So thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Lynnette. Thank you for your time. You've been amazing. See you. Okay. Bye.
Bye.